On the news, National Assembly approves Tinubu's request for emergency rule in Rivers State. Rivers State sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, arrives Government House in Port Harcourt, holds security meeting. And Atiku, El-Rufai, other key opposition leaders reject state of emergency in Rivers State. It's a pleasure to have you join News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Joy Uchejem. Nigeria's National Assembly has approved President Bola Tinubu's request for emergency rule in Rivers State, a move which has continued to attract severe criticism nationwide. The approval was given after both legislative chambers deliberated on the controversial suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the federal takeover of the state's administration following the political crisis that had rocked the state. TV360's Victoria Akonde completes the report.
This legislative backing of the emergency rule follows Wednesday's swearing-in of Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas as the sole administrator of Rivers State. All eyes had been on the National Assembly to see if lawmakers would approve or decline the President's request for the proclamation of emergency rule in Rivers State. Debate among lawmakers on the issue, given the public interest it has generated. But none of that eventually happened. Everything went relatively smoothly.
Those in support that we go into closed session to enable us comply with our rules, circulating the Gazette, and at the same time discussing matters of urgent national importance. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
After over an hour of the closed-door session, the Senate emerged to announce its decision.
Conferred on it by Section 305, Subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and approve the proclamation of state of emergency declared by Mr. President in Rivers State of Nigeria. The Senate further directs that the declaration of the state of emergency stated in the proclamation document and the mandate of Mr. President to review, and hereby mandates the President to review and even to terminate the state of emergency at any given time, but not later than 6 months. The Senate further resolve that Section 11, Subsection 4 be invoked, providing the National Assembly the authority to set up a joint ad hoc committee of both chambers to oversight the administration of Rivers State henceforth.
It was no different in the House of Representatives, which was the first to approve the President's request without any open dissent.
If by tomorrow Rivers State will wake up and everything is okay, he has the right to say, okay, the state of emergency should come to an end. So rather than just tying us to 6 months, you are saying at any given time, between the first day after the passage of this particular request, the President is at liberty to lift this suspension. Is that what you are saying? Okay. Those in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye. Those in support of this request from Mr. President as amended should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. There is have it. Thank you very much.
the approval of emergency rule in Rivers State grants President Tinubu the authority to enforce emergency measures within the stipulated period. Already, the sole administrator appointed by the president to run the affairs of government in Rivers State has assumed office. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
And former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has opposed the controversial declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. He made his position known at a press conference at the Shehu Musa Yaradua Center in Abuja, which was convened to confirm the formation of a coalition aimed at challenging the ruling All Progressives Congress in the 2027 election cycle. The coalition, led by Atiku, former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and some leaders of the Labour Party, condemns the emergency rule as unconstitutional and called for its reversal, urging the judiciary to intervene.
Immediate reversal. We call on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to immediately revoke this unconstitutional proclamation and reinstate the elected governor, deputy governor, and state assembly of Rivers State. 2. National Assembly reduction. We call on patriotic senators and representatives to vote against this illegal action when it comes before them for approval. The National Assembly must stand on the right side of history and not allow itself to be used to legitimize an unconstitutional power grab. 3. Judicial intervention. We urge the judiciary to act swiftly in striking down this proclamation, as it sets a dangerous precedent that could be used to arbitrarily remove any governor in the future.
In 2006, the Supreme Court of Nigeria gave a judgment clearly stating that even though by then Daria had been restored to office, but lashed the Obasanjo administration and said that under no circumstances would the emergency provisions in Section 305 be used to remove any elected official. That is the law. The Supreme Court has spoken. No legislation or constitutional amendment has changed that. So that is the law. No one, no person or authority can remove an elected official, whether governor, deputy governor, or member of the legislature, without going through the due process of law. In the case of governor, via impeachment. In the case of legislators, through recall. Those are the only ways you can remove an elected person. You cannot tamper with the mandate of the people under Section 305 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has spoken, and it's very, very clear. What President Tinubu has done is violently unconstitutional and unlawful.
Now let's get more reactions on the Senate and House of Reps approving the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State. Legal practitioner Liberus Oshomba joins us on the news. It's great to have you on the news, sir. Now, we have seen how the Senate and the House of Reps threw their weight behind the president's emergency rule declaration. Now, what's your reaction to both houses unanimously supporting this move?
Yeah, before I react to that, let me quickly react to the press conference by some leaders of the opposition. While I completely oppose President Tinubu's move, because I was one of the first persons to speak out against it, that I have searched the entire gamut of the Constitution. There is nowhere where a provision for a sole administrator was made for. And then also considering the recent Supreme Court judgment in Attorney General of the Federation and Attorney General of the 26 states of the Federation, where the Supreme Court reiterated its position that the governors lack the power under any guise to remove a democratically elected local government chairman. By extension, the president also lacked that power. I still believe and I still stand by that position. But also, I want to say that the press conference by these politicians, modern-day Democrats, for me is laughable. It's very, very laughable. Because while the ordinary Nigerians should know that they are the ones in opposition and not these people who are parading themselves as leaders of opposition. Atiku was vice president when Obasanjo declared state of emergency in Plateau, removed, suspended, democratically elected government, and also declared a state of emergency in Ekiti State and suspended the democratically elected government. What was Atiku's position? Did he address press conference and saying that he was power grabbing? So all of this grandstanding, and then the same way Tinubu, while he was in opposition, opposed state of emergency declaration in Yobe, Adamawa, and Borno. And today he's the one doing it. In the same way that Atiku is basically playing politics here. So Nigerians should also know, they should know who is fighting their battle actually. But that said, I really didn't expect anything different from the National Assembly because considering the fact that we already know the relationship between the National Assembly, the Senate especially, and then the presidency. The Senate had consistently acted as an appendage of the executive, and so I didn't expect anything different. Some persons that we thought were going to oppose, some people we thought were going to oppose the emergency rule, quickly called for executive session. The only painful part for me was I had consistently advised Fubara against all of the action that he took that led into this. And people like Honorable Ugo-Chinyere, urged him on. Where was Ugo-Chinyere when the House of Rep was doing the ice having? I expected people like him, I expected them to be vociferous. But we didn't see Ugo-Chinyere and his quote-unquote 60 wise honorable members. So that's just the saddest part of it. And I hope that, Fubara learns a lesson from it. Okay,
my apologies for cutting you short, but due to time, briefly tell us, what do you make of the amendments the lawmakers made to the proclamation, like setting up a committee to reconcile the grieved parties and asking the sole administrator to make a recourse to the National Assembly on issues of regulations for the state? Now, what do you make of all of that?
No, certainly Section 11, subsection 4 empowers the National Assembly to make laws for a state where the State House of Assembly cannot sit. In this case, the State House of Assembly has been sacked. So certainly National Assembly, by virtue of that Section 11, sub 4, will make law for the state. And then on the issue of reconciliation, are we saying now that, that they will set up a committee to begin to reconcile a governor and a godfather? So what it means is that we actually recognize the fact that there is indeed a godfather and a governor. And so we've elevated it to national discourse that we're not setting up a committee. Nobody's reconciling the ordinary man with the reality of poverty. Nobody's reconciling the ordinary man with the hunger in the land, with the diseases and the salary that is so meager. But now we are reconciling godfather and a godson. Well, that's the politics of Nigeria. And really, I do not believe in that. I do not believe the Senate should have bothered itself with that amendment. Thank you.
All right. Well, monitoring the event as they unfold, legal practitioner Liberos Oshoma, thank you for your insights.
My pleasure.
Moving on. Meanwhile, the sole administrator for Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, has arrived in the state to assume duties. Ibas arrived at the Port Harcourt International Airport on Thursday and was received by top officials of Rivers State government and security personnel. The sole administrator, accompanied by the State Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adepoju, and the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 16, immediately proceeded to the Government House, Port Harcourt afterwards. He further held a closed-door meeting with senior security officers, federal government delegation, and state government officials. And the House of Representatives has mandated the Clerk of the National Assembly to revert all authenticated bills to the clerks of the Senate and the House of Representatives for confirmation before final transmission to the President. This ensures the accuracy and integrity of bills, including constitution alteration bills, preventing alterations of errors or errors during authentication. This decision followed a motion by Honorable Sada Soli, who noted discrepancies in some bills and allegations of changes from their original versions.
Concerned that the non-remittance of these funds has severely limited FEMA's capacity to maintain and rehabilitate federal roads, leading to the deterioration of road infrastructure, increased accidents, higher vehicle maintenance costs, and economic losses. Also concerned that the defunct PPRA justified its own non-compliance by arguing that implementing the 5% user charge will increase fuel prices despite the clear legal requirements for such remittances.
Concerned that the bills are not always reverted to the clerks of both houses for confirmation to ensure that the final version of the bills accurately reflects the intentions of the National Assembly before transmission to the President for assent. Also aware that adopting the resolution of the House of Representatives will demonstrate its commitment to transparency, accountability, and the rule of law, ultimately strengthening the legislative process and reinforcing public trust in the National Assembly.
When these bills go, they should come back to the clerk of our House. Let's look at it and make sure that it's in order. And you, Mr. Speaker, you will endorse the final copy before you begin to progress to Mr. President. If we are not able to do that, we'll be shocked that there will be a lot of rejection because this President and the Ministry of Justice, they are thorough. Mr. President has been a member of the Parliament. He knows what to expect from the Parliament. And I can assure you, the Minister of Justice that is there now, a practicing lawyer before he got there, was well chosen to do that job, and he will observe those errors.
And in Lagos, the Dangote Foundation has flagged off the distribution of 80,000 10 kg bags of rice to vulnerable persons in the state. President of Dangote Group and chairman of the foundation, Aliko Dangote, who was represented by an executive director of the group, Maria Dangote, said the distribution is part of the over 1 million 10 kg bags of rice earmarked for 1 million people in the 774 local government areas of the country. Speaking at the flag-off in Alausa, Dangote said the distribution of the 80,000 bags of rice was another demonstration of the foundation's commitment to upholding the values of compassion and solidarity that are at the core of humanity.
They know their community better than us, so they are able to get to the vulnerable, the needy, and that's why they were with us, and that's the method that we use to. So we want to appreciate what the Aliko Dangote is doing in collaboration with what the state government is doing. Like I said, we do farmer subsidy, just finished. We do discounts at our markets and so on and so forth. So this type of collaboration is good, especially during this period when Muslims are fasting, and this is the Lent period for our Christian brothers and sisters. So it's a fantastic gesture to assist the needy in our state.
Every year during Ramadan season, we do zakat giving. This year, like Mr. Governor just said, Lent is overlapping with Ramadan, so our effort is even multiplied. But the idea this year is to support Nigerians in all 774 LGAs by distributing 1 million bags of 10 kg rice across the country. So we started in Kano last week, we're in Lagos today, and God willing, before the end of the Ramadan and Lent period, we would have distributed all 1 million bags across the country.
Each of our local government has nothing less than 50, 60, in some cases over 200 CDAs, Community Development Associations. And through these Community Development Associations, we are able to reach out to the needy and the poor within the communities. And you know, we stay with these people and we know those who are actually in need of those things. That's the way we do it.
It's now time for a short break. Still to come on News Now, armed men abduct dozens from a bus in Ethiopia. We'll bring you details of this story after this break. Welcome back. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. Nigeria's National Assembly has approved President Bola Tinubu's request for emergency rule in Rivers State, a move which has continued to attract severe criticism nationwide. The approval was given after both legislative chambers deliberated on the controversial suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the federal takeover of the state administration following the political crisis that had rocked the state. We also told you that the sole administrator for Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, has arrived in the state to resume duties. Ibas arrived at the Port Harcourt International Airport on Thursday and was received by top officials and security personnel. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and ABO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download the mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. A switch now to business news, and Okweyemi Owusheni is on standby. Over to you, Okweyemi.
Thank you, Joy, and welcome to Business News. Diverse reactions have continued to surface following the recent pipeline explosions in Rivers State, which occurred twice this week. Experts predict that these incidents could lead to a decrease in oil production output. In an exclusive interview with TV360 Nigeria, financial expert Femi Oladele described the explosions as regrettable. He, however, assured the incident is not significant enough to alarm investors who are already accustomed to the volatile nature of the region.
No, I don't think this particular situation is huge enough to create that kind of scare for investors. Investors in the oil and gas sector, they're already used to the terrain. Even this is smaller compared to that time when Yemi Osinbajo had to go to the river, to the Niger Delta to make an agreement with them. So this particular one, except we are looking at it comprehensively from the beginning, it's not significant enough to scare investors. They already know the risks involved, and they have been there many times. So I don't think that's significant. But having said that, whenever there is this, there is the tendency for withdrawal. There's a tendency for reassessment, where investors would want to be sure or certain that the investment is still safe and that it's a wise decision. So I believe that many of them would have gone back to reassess the risk involved and to see if the investment is safe. You know, unlike people who fall for MMM and other Ponzi schemes, investors in that sector with heavy capital, they don't just make rash decisions. They would have done lots of research, lots of analysis would have gone into it to say, okay, if I stay a bit, is the chance high that I'm going to be able to recoup my investment? And that the fact is that yes, that would be happening. And you know, by the appointment that has been made now, someone in the military, we understand that might give some kind of credence to say, okay, security would improve in coming days.
We'll take a short break here and be back with updates from the stock market. Welcome back. The Nigerian exchange extended its losing streak to a fourth consecutive day, with the market slipping by 0.05% on the fourth trading day of the week. This decline saw the market's capitalization edge down from 65.8 trillion naira to 65.76 trillion naira. Now, in total, 124 equities listed on the NGX were actively traded, with the session concluding with 14 gainers against 28 losers. On the losing side, livestock feed topped the laggard for the second consecutive day, with a price drop of 9.57%, closing at 7 naira 65 kobo per share. It was followed closely by Royal Exchange, which saw a decline of 8.24% to close at 0 naira 78 kobo. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 310 million shares were exchanged in 10,182 deals, corresponding to a market value of 6.247 billion naira. Now, shifting to the global scene, market showed with a mixed performance, with the UK FTSE and Japan's Nikkei recording losses, while the US Dow Jones ended the day in positive territory. The Naira remained volatile against major currencies as it currently trades at 1,585 Naira against the US dollar, 2,040 Naira against the pound, and 1,710 Naira against the euro. Well, that's it on both business and stock market updates. Back to you, Joy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Okpeyemi. And on the foreign scene, dozens of bus passengers in Ethiopia have been abducted by armed men in the Oromia region, the country's largest, while traveling from the capital, Addis Ababa. The incident took place in Alidoro, an area previously affected by a similar abduction last July, when around 100 university students were taken while traveling home from campus. Survivors and local authorities have pointed to the Oromo Liberation Army, a rebel group operating in the area, as the perpetrators of the abduction, though the group had denied involvement in the previous case. And on sport, Nigeria's attacking duo Adedemola Lookman and Samuel Chukwueze have earned spots among the top 50 dribblers in Italy's Serie A for the 2024/25 season, according to statistics from Eurofootball Rumors. Both Lookman and Chukwueze are the only Nigerian internationals featured in the list, which ranks players based on successful dribbles in Italy's top flight. And the promising Chinese youth footballer Guo Jiashuan has tragically passed away after sustaining a severe head injury during training in Spain. Jiashuan, who fell into a coma last month following an accident during a training match between the Beijing men's under-20 team and Spanish club RC Alcobendas in Madrid, was declared brain dead by a local hospital. He was later transferred to Beijing Tiatan Hospital in China for further care. A player for the under-19 team of top-tier Beijing Guan sadly passed away on Wednesday evening, as confirmed by the club in a social media post. And that's our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Ucheji. See you next time.